Hello folks, how's it going? This is Mike, Gray 1951, and I'm here to do the midweek chat. And I'm a little bit late getting to it. Sorry about that. And I would also like to apologize for not being very responsive to people's videos in the last week. I've been getting way behind in everything and watching videos and responding as well. So I don't want people to think that it is from a lack of interest in what you have to say and in the kind of things that you post. It's not that at all. I've been really preoccupied this week. It's been a very strange week, very eventful week, both at work and at home, and I've just really been preoccupied with pointless nonsense, none of which is nearly as interesting as watching movies or talking about movies or listening to other people talk about movies. That is what I find interesting and stimulating and real. And those are the things I like to concentrate on. But this week I haven't been able to. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be back and be chatting with you again, all of my DVD friends. So let's see, what are the topics? I didn't write them down, so I'll have to do them by memory. And at my age, the memory doesn't work as well as it used to. Okay, the first topic has to do with, do we have a ritual for when we decide to, settle down and watch a movie? Well, I was going to say something really offensive, like, yes, I have a ritual. I always sacrifice the chicken and sprinkle the blood on the television. And I thought, no, I'm not going to say that. But I did. I just said it. So. No, I guess I have rituals for everything. I am a creature of habit. I do the same things again, over and over again, pretty much every day. And maybe it has something to do with the fact that I have a job that is just so unbelievably repetitive, and it just kind of overflows into my life. And I do think the same things over and over again. So when I have a night off, because I rarely watch a movie during the day, I work second shift, right? I work 2:45 p.m. to 11 p.m. Excuse me, so I'm home during the day. I'm home during morning hours, and I rarely watch TV in the morning. I watch, when I get up, I watch maybe 10 or 15 minutes of People's Court, and the first 5 minutes of The Young and the Restless, which is, for those of you who don't live in this country, it's a soap opera. And I just, it moves so slow that all I have to do is watch the first 5 minutes and I've got the whole story for the month. So that's kind of how I wake myself up. And then I turn the TV off, and then I come downstairs and I make breakfast. And I don't really watch TV for the rest of the day. I watch TV sometimes when I come home, but most of the time I just watch YouTube. That's what I do before I go to bed. And then the only time I really sit down and relax and watch television is when I have a night off, which in my life is not that often. So I mean, like, for example, this weekend I'll be working straight through, so I probably won't watch any movies this weekend at all. Maybe if I have a day off next week, I'll be able to. I actually had a day off earlier this week. They made me take a day off Monday for a day of rest, and I went out to see a movie. I went out to see a movie called Calvary. It's an Irish film, which I highly recommend. It was a very, very moving and very beautiful film. Okay, ritual. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting away from the topic. Well, my TV room is up on the second floor of my house. It's a spare bedroom, right across from the room that I use as a bedroom, a sleeping room. So it's really a very small room, and I like it because it's nice and cozy and comfortable, and if I ever get it, well, I've said this many times, but if I ever get it straightened up and cleaned up, I will actually show it to you. But if you want to know what it looks like, you can just ask Dave Koenig, a Fiend on Film, because he's actually been inside of it. But anyway, so my ritual for watching a movie, I usually go upstairs and I turn the TV on, I put the DVD in, but I don't actually, put it inside the machine. I wait until I'm upstairs, and then I come downstairs and I either I fix some kind of a snack, or I put my dinner together. Sometimes I go out to my favorite restaurant and I bring this big sack of food home, and I will just kind of carry everything upstairs. Usually in one hand I have a drink, one of my favorite liquor combinations. It's either a good glass of pink Moscato wine, or it's a very strong rum and coke, the first of many during the evening. And then the other hand, I'll have food, right? So I'm balancing this stuff as I go up the stairs. And my staircase is enclosed. It's actually in a stairwell, okay? And it's so I'm always I'm home at night. I'm doing this at night, so it's completely in the dark, because the light at the head of the stairwell, the bulb burned out something like 7 or 8 years ago, and I never bothered to change it. I'm just so lazy. So I'm walking up the stairs in the dark, and I'm balancing food, right? And all I can see upstairs are the lights from the television in the spare bedroom. So I'm counting the steps. There are 14 steps. So I'm counting as I go up to make sure. And I'm very good at walking around in the dark. I'm really getting good at it. If I ever go blind, I'll do very well. So that's part of my ritual. And then I go into my TV room, and I try not to trip over all the stuff that's on the floor, and make it to my my old beat up black vinyl chair, and try to balance everything without spilling it as I sit down, and then try to place everything on the side table, which is usually also completely crowded with stuff, usually piles and piles of DVDs. So anyway, and then when I actually start to watch the movie, I always like to play the trailer first. Even if it's a film that I've seen before, I always like to play the trailer. I really don't know why. It's just kind of a good lead in to the movie. And then I usually check to see what the extra features are. And I don't necessarily watch them, but I just like to see what they are. Okay? And then I watch the movie. So that's my ritual. And as I said, I'm a creature of habit. I do the same things again and again. Which is why I have a tendency to watch the same favorite movies again and again and again. And then after I watch them again and again, I will just watch favorite scenes from favorite movies. You know, and sometimes when I really have an evening off and I have a lot of time to relax and just do whatever I want, I might put in 5 or 6 different DVDs in the course of an evening of TV watching, just to watch my favorite scenes, right? Or an interview with somebody, or just, you know, favorite musical number or something like that. And I do these things over and over again, so yeah, I guess I do have a ritual. It's a little bit silly. Okay. The second question had to do with movie stars, you know, prestigious actors acting on television. Do they do it because TV is getting better and better, or do they do it because there are a lack of film roles? And I would say that it depends on the individual, but I think both are probably true. There are a lot of people who, for example, a great actress like Sally Field, who had a really terrific run as a leading lady in films back in the 80s and the 90s, and she, I don't know, I guess she reached an age where it was difficult for her to find the kind of film roles that she wanted, so maybe that's why she turned to television. And she had a hit series in, I guess it was called Brothers and Sisters, which I never watched, but I heard it was really terrific. So yeah, I think a lot of people, it's just kind of a natural progression. And I really can't speak to the quality of television these days, because as I've said in many other videos, I really don't watch modern television. I don't even know what's on. I hear a lot of people talking about certain things, and you know, I'm beginning to believe that I am missing out on a lot of good stuff by not watching some of these TV shows. I'm really beginning to believe that I am missing out, and I probably will try to play catch up here. I don't really know how I'll do that. I guess probably by, you know, joining Netflix or something like that. But yeah, I think there probably are a lot of quality TV shows now. I avoid modern TV because I don't like violence, which I've said many times. And I could be wrong about a lot of these shows, but I just have kind of a prejudicial feeling that they are filled with a lot of violence that is not going to, you know, make me feel good. So I tend to avoid them. I mean, I heard a lot about Breaking Bad and some of the others, I don't know. But then I have no right to make that judgment if I really haven't seen them, and I don't know. So that's. But anyway, the whole thing about film actors and film stars trying to avoid television goes all the way back to the 1950s when TV first started getting really popular. There was a feeling in the big studios like MGM and Paramount and 20th Century Fox that they didn't want their stars to go on television. Television was a big enemy, so they didn't want their highest grade stars, their highest level stars, to appear on television. And a lot of those stars didn't want to do that because they just had a feeling it was a come down. And also a lot of them were afraid because television production was a lot, and it probably still is today, it moves a lot faster than making a film. So a lot of those people, when they would try to go into television, they were just, completely blown away by the speed of everything. Like, there's no time to rehearse. A lot of it was live, and they were terrified to do things live. And they had a real problem with it. The ones who didn't have so much of a problem with it were the kind of the second and third tier actors, the ones who did B films and a lot of westerns and a lot of horror films and things that were made very quickly. They could adapt very, very easily to the pace of television production. So they were the ones that kind of excelled. But of course, as the decade of the 50s went on, there were a lot of, and TV production was beginning to be a little bit more prestigious. There were a lot of the higher level stars like Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Sterling and Dick Powell, June Allison, who went into television and had their own shows. But in the beginning, it was a lot of the second tier stars. For example, Lucille Ball was always a very popular actress in Hollywood, but she was never really a top star, She was a leading lady, but a lot of the time she was a supporting player in B films. And it wasn't until she went into television in 1951 that she became this legendary figure. The same was true for Ann Sothern. She was always a very popular, very likable, and a very good actress in films all the way through the 1930s and the 1940s, but she was never really a top star. She went into television early in the 50s and just became, a huge success, a household name. And same for Eve Arden, who was never a big star in films, always a supporting player. She became a big star in television. So that happened to a lot of them. And I don't think it's changed that much today. Well, no, obviously it has. If you have people like Jessica Lange, it could also be that someone like Jessica Lange, again, she has reached a certain age and she wasn't able to find parts as a leading lady in films, in good films that she probably thought that she wanted to do. So she finds opportunities in television and kind of runs with it. Now, someone like Matthew McConaughey, it kind of freaks me out in the way that he would do a TV series because he is certainly at his peak as a leading man in films. So I guess all the old rules don't apply anymore. And this old man here needs to become familiar with what's on TV so I can know what everybody else is talking about. Right? All right. So the third question has to do with watching film series like the Harry Potter things or Lord of the Rings. Can we watch do we have to watch them from the very beginning? I can't remember what the rest of it was. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much what it is. Yes, I do. And I don't know anything about Harry Potter either. Sorry, I'm not familiar with Harry Potter, but maybe one of these days I'll get into that. But I recently bought the Thin Man package. These classic sort of comedy crime thrillers from the 30s and on up into the 40s. It's a package of 6 films, right? Starting in 1934, and I think the last one was made in 1947. And I had never seen any of them. I had seen bits and pieces of the first film, but I had never seen it all the way through. So when I bought the package, I started watching it all the way through because they do have a certain continuity of the characters and their family life and all that. And I wanted to do it that way. So yeah, I'm one of those people that has to do it that way. Yeah. So I guess that's my contribution to Weekly Chat. And okay, hope everyone's doing well. And now, as soon as I post this, I'm going to start watching everybody else's videos. and find out what you're all up to. Okay. Good night, folks.